We're going to cross over now to talk about labor issues. So this year there has been a lot of labor agitation, a lot of strikes from CLOSAG. CLOSAG is still on strike, asking for a better salary structure. We know that even our national service persons were threatening to go on strike. The workers at the National Identification Authority are threatening to go on strike. There have been a lot of threats of strike and strikes. Going into the elections, at a time when we're all complaining about the state of the economy, what does this mean for us? What's the impact on the economy? All of these labor agitations and strikes, how does it impact on the economy? We're going to be talking to a labor expert who has just joined us on the phone line. Seth Abloso has joined us now on the phone. Abloso, thank you so much. Has just joined us on the phone lines. Good morning, Seth.
He used to be CPP General Secretary.
Good morning, Seth. Hello, Seth.
Hello.
Yes, we're happy to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. We'd like to talk about the impact of all of these labor agitations and strikes on the economy as it is now. This morning, or at least currently, we know that CLOSAG is still on strike. They are demanding the implementation of a new salary structure. Despite the existence of the single salary structure, the workers at the National Identification Authority are still insisting that they will go on strike. We know that CTAG is on strike. They've been on strike for over 21 days. And the list continues. That is where we are now, and it doesn't seem to be going away. Even the national service persons were threatening to go on strike just a week ago because they said that their arrears had not been paid.
Yeah.
What does this mean for us as a people at a time when we're crying about the state of the economy?
It's a very unfortunate because it points to a regrettable case of neglect of issues of workers on the part of government. As far back as June 2020, the reports of the Professorial Committee on Emoluments for Article 71 office holders urged government to take urgent steps to address disparities in salaries. The report said there was a wide gap between the lowest paid public servants, and that government should take steps, urgent steps. Government was urged to take steps to address this situation so that the workers will live in dignity. And please underline dignity, so that the workers will live in dignity. It's been 4 years. Government completely nothing about this recommendation. And you wonder whether they have even read the report. But what concerns the executive, they have taken. But this report says the lowest, and this is in the public service. It's addressing the situation of neglect in the public service. All these people who are striking are in the public service. There's been no statement since June 2022 to say that this is a recommendation that has been made. We are setting up this committee to look at its implementation. Because the report itself has said, has admitted what was done for the education and health sectors during the tenure of President Kufuor. So there is a blueprint for addressing these issues. And we have in this country a Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Now, if you are urged to ensure that workers work and live in dignity, what it just means is that what is taking is not a fair wage. It's not a fair salary. But we need also, in this situation, we need to re-examine the role of the Fair Wages and Fairness Commission in all this. Because what it should be doing is to be acting as a referee between workers and their employers. But any time of the employer or government and seeking to downplay the demand, the just demand of working people. And that is why we are seeing all these strikes. Yes, now.
All right. Now, some of the comments I'm getting, or since you started talking, some of the comments that have come in suggest that, well, in an election year, these are expected. Everybody brings their problems forward so that they have it resolved. These problems have existed since time immemorial. There's no way one government is going to be able to resolve all of the problems and labor agitations that follow. It's normal. Nothing new here. That's a comment from a texter. Now, I've received two similar comments talking about the fact that it's an election year, and so this is expected, and it's nothing special. So all labor unions will try to get their issues resolved before elections take place. I wish I could come back to you on that. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, so I'm going to ask our ladies to both to each comment on this, and then we'll wrap up the segment. I'll start with you, Joyce.
Well, thank you. Now, look. This is actually a reflection of all that is wrong with our society under President Akufo-Addo and, of course, his Vice President Bawumia. And it is why I settled by telling you that on that platform in Ashanti region, these are really some of the things they should have been addressing. Because these are the things that really bother Ghanaians. Have you looked at the cost of rent, the cost of take-home pay of an ordinary Ghanaian worker is against the corruption and what they spent and expended on the platforms that they raise and berate us all the time? Have you checked the conversations at Jubilee House between representatives of the labor unions and the president himself regarding the sale and dissipation of our assets in SNIT? I listened to the gentleman. He was almost in tears at the way His Excellency President Akufo-Addo spoke to the unions when they called on him. Remember that those shares were not put there by President Akufo-Addo. They were there long before his third attempt to become president. But in his time in office, he has made up his mind that if SNIT says that they are giving this out, it must be done. Now look at the cost of rent in Ghana.
We have a minute each.
For any young person now, and when these Saglemi buildings were inherited by this administration, they were condemned. And then we saw what a few days ago, the Minister for Works and Housing receiving bids to go and complete those houses. 200 apartments left by your predecessor. I'm happy that Mr. Mahama has promised one thing, to work on all of these abandoned projects. Have we ever started to quantify the cost of all these projects that Akufo-Addo abandoned? One, because he didn't want other leaders getting any seeming praise or adulation for putting them there. Look, government will always be a continuum under the democracy that we have. Whether you like it or not, you will hand over peacefully to another person. If we weren't handing over office, if there were no peaceful transitions, Mr. Akufo-Addo will not be president.
All right. Nanaya.
Kofi Kapito said I should tell you that Napo is not arrogant, he's rude.
Same bucket.
That is his message for you. So
Okay.
You see, Comrade Abuloso has said it all. But whoever said that these strikes are coming up because it's an election,
not true.
It is very unfortunate. That person does not know. It is a sign that that person is just belittling the plight of Ghanaian workers. You shouldn't have even read it. It is unfortunate, unacceptable. It should not be condoned. Because if that person really knows what Ghanaian workers go through, juxtaposing it against the kind of opulence that this government displays. Look, when it comes to taking of our assets, go to Laboni, the civil servants' quarters. First Laboni Street. A civil servant will be living in this government bungalow. Then government officials would come, or whoever, and say that the place has been sold. The person's tenure in the public service It's possible maybe it's left with 15 years, 10 years, and you give that person 1 year rent, but they should go and look for a place to live. Salaries are inadequate. Meanwhile, we have used 399 million to dig a hole purported to be the foundation of a natural cathedral. You are doing 419 even to God. You are pickpocketing God. You have done it to all of us. Because we don't have power, we are quiet. Now you are doing it to God. Ghanaian workers are suffering. And they have even done well in President Mohammed's time through their own machinations. 15 demonstrations hit him. Now these are strikes. They are even softer.
All right. Susan?
I mean, why do people go on strike? Why do workers go on strike? Because they are dissatisfied and they are unhappy with a certain condition. And the strikes, you know, and I agree with Nania. When you said it, that's the first thing I came to mind, that this person has disrespected workers, that they are just waiting for this thing. But I tried to Google about strikes between 2016 and now. We've had strikes. Even 2022. You remember 2022 when they said they were going to take our pension funds and doing the debt exchange? Yes. Didn't the labor unions go on strike or say that they will have an indefinite strike if the government attempted to do that? Before the government decided to cut the heads of old people who have worked their lives, now sitting on stools and in
some
the streets.
Some are even dead.
You know, forcing the former CJ to pitch camp with them. You know, that was a strike. You understand? Did they wait till say, oh no, we are waiting till 2024? People strike because at the present moment, the things that affect them are way beyond them and they are dissatisfied. So for anybody to say that it's an election year and so that is why they are doing that and so we should live with it. Really? When UTAG went on strike, was it an election year? When the doctors went on strike, was it an election year? You see, I think that we shouldn't belittle our people like that. Excuse me.
Sorry.
It's not fair.
All right.
We all know the harsh conditions in this country.
All right.
And it is in people's right. And it's an election year, so be it. Because in an election year, the people are going to spend our money on unnecessary things, and you will find the vice president. Any tea party, he will take this entourage there to cut sword on a tea party, spend our money on it. You understand?
Yeah.
So if people decide that this is the time to ask for what is rightfully theirs, it is their right to agitate as much as possible to get what belongs to them.
All right. We're hoping to have a full show on labor issues with representations from the various labor unions to come and speak to the actual issues plaguing these unions on the ground. So we'll bring you that show soon. We'll let you know when that will be. But I'll read a couple of messages and then we'll wrap the segment up. Now, please, let's call a spade a spade. And when you see a snake, you kill it. You don't go around looking for a tape measure to measure it. Truth be told, Napo is extremely arrogant. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 15, verse 11 to 20, it is not what goes into your mouth, the mouth of a man that makes him unclean and defiled, but what comes out of his mouth. That is what makes a man unclean and defiles him. Would Napo go to Keta to do a campaign? Don't people eat in an election year? And that's from Chris, texting us from Ashaliboche. I wrote 2 more messages and then we'll wrap this up. Good morning, Na. Napo's arrogance is growing by the day. Even after the admonition of his grandfather, the Otumfo, his ego is just bloated and he cannot be corrected. All right, it's unlikely. All right. And finally, Kizito texting us from Temai says, good morning, now your panelists, especially the sweet Joyce Bauer and Nanaya. I'm shocked to even hear that some MPP communicators are defending this awful utterances from their running mate and the running mate. All right. He wants the steer now. He doesn't deserve that position. The MPP has reduced the vice presidency office to the lowest without integrity and a sense of humor. All right. That's it. That's it for Big Issues this morning. Thank you for sending in your messages.